After a bit of a controversial start to the second round in which Daryl Morey selected Auburn's Janai Broome, he got back in the lab and landed a huge addition through the undrafted free agent market. Wake Forest Hunter Sallis is coming to Philadelphia on a two-way contract, the exact type of upside swing that the Philadelphia 76ers should be looking to bring in. I want to break down why I'm excited about this prospect here, what he brings to the table for this Sixers team, and a little bit of loose ends to tie up on the Janai Broome conversation. Now, to dive right into things here, we got this news from Shams Charania coming right after the end of the second round saying Wake Forest Hunter Sallis has agreed to a two-way NBA contract with the Philadelphia 76ers, sources tell ESPN. Now, we know through Daryl Morey's tenure here in Philadelphia, the undrafted market has been an area in which he has attacked. The second that the draft fully settles, that we tend to get these notifications and alert that Daryl Morey is on the prowl and attacking. Justin Edwards, just last year, a huge success story of a guy who, by most accounts, was expected to be off the board. A dude who, if things had gone correctly, was a player that would have been a clear-cut first-round pick, and Morey was able to get a little bit of value due to some struggles that he had in college. A bit of a similar situation with Hunter Sallis, and while the pedigree is not to the level of what we saw with Justin Edwards, who was a guy that was a top recruit, number one in the country for a brief period of time, Hunter Sallis is still a dude that can play. So let's get into a little bit of what he can bring to the table, and I do want to start off with this article from Kevin O'Connor here. Now, this is a guy that Kevin O'Connor of Yahoo Sports has been bullish on for several weeks and months at this point. I am a regular listener to the podcast there, and he's a guy who's called him the best mid-range shooter in this draft. Even when hearing this, before he was a member of the Sixers, that was something that had made my eyebrows raise a little bit, and something that I'm not sure I can fully get behind, but I love the optimism. Now, to dive into his breakdown here, actually first I want to start off with this portion that Hunter Sallis is a 6'5" guard, weighed 181 pounds at the combine, spent 4 years in college. He is 22 years old, and the summary is saying Sallis is a poised, efficient scorer with body control, defensive tenacity, and the passing feel to hint at more upside. If the jumper proves real, he could play a much larger offensive role than his current projection. He's coming off season in which he averaged 18 points, 5.1 rebounds, 2.8 assists per game, 1.2 steals in 36 minutes, and it does almost entirely, as is true of so many prospects, comes down to what is real and what is fake with his jump shots. Now, there is a larger gap with Hunter Sallis than you pretty much would expect with any type of prospect. And what I mean by that exactly is to dive into his full stats here, that he is a 4-year player, as I mentioned, spent the first 2 seasons at Gonzaga there, did not get a ton of burn, his most being 16.7 minutes per game in his second season, but then transferred to Wake Forest where he fully broke onto the scene. Now, his junior year, in which he played 35.4 minutes per game, averaged 18 points, 4.1 rebounds, 2.5 assists per game, 1.1 blocks. He shot 40.5% from beyond the three-point arc on 5.4 attempts per game. That is real deal stuff. And coming into the season, based on these numbers, teams had him circled, pegged as a potential first-round pick. Well, the shooting numbers went down in his senior season, with him connecting on just 27.7% of those looks from beyond the arc on 4.8 attempts per game. Now, with that said, he still averaged 18.3 points per game, 5.1 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 1.2 steals, but that shot and which version of it is real is really the million-dollar question. Now, one of the indicators that is often looked at is free throw percentage here. He has been fairly consistent at the line, a 78.7% free throw shooter throughout his career, has never shot below 70% or really even that close, 80.4% this particular season here. And to give a little bit deeper dive on the strengths and weaknesses here, they want to refer back to Kevin O'Connor's article. And to pull this up once again, the strengths that he acknowledges in Hunter Sallis is number one, shot creation. He's a slippery ball handler who is quick but also knows how to deceive opponents with head and ball fakes. He can decelerate, stop on a dime for a pull-up in the paint, or use half spins to get to the rim. He always looks like he's in control. The at-rim finishing. The gorgeous paint score with soft touch from any angle off either foot. He can dunk when given space to elevate, but primarily uses his finesse to score around the rim. Even when facing lengthy defenders, he's shown the ability to hang in the air and absorb contact and still score. That is not something that is super common in collegiate players. Now, the passing, he's a selfless passer who makes decisive decisions with the ball. Coming off handoffs, he'll read the floor, then put velocity on the ball on a roller. He loves to throw lobs. He's also comfortable throwing cross-court bullseye bullseye passes. And I did want to put a note there that is something that really popped when watching a little bit of the tape to me, is he loves that little come around a screen at the top of the key and that whip around to the corner where it's almost like, a full court, like not a traditional pass, but sort of just a whip around pass. He loves that, and he's pretty effective at it, so I have no problem with it. But we will see that a lot here, and definitely starting out in the G League for the beginning. But I think that is going to be something that was notable in his game. His cutting, he's active off the ball, showing an awareness to fill space in transition, cut to the basket in the half court, and relocate on open threes. And defense, super active on-ball defender who shows good footwork, fighting around screens, and staying in front of opponents. His strong hand-eye coordination allows him to consistently swipe at balls and contest shots. Now, this is still, while he is 22, a bit more of the project variety of players that I don't think Hunter Sallis is going to be a day-one impact type guy. In fact, my expectation, and this is the beauty of the two-way contract that he did sign, is I do think he will start out with the Delaware Bluecoats where he can work through some of these struggles and adjusting to the NBA level. I think there will be a little bit of a learning curve for him, but it will be worth it in the long haul. And those concerns in particular that he does need to work through, did want to pull up from the same article that he only made 33.3% of his threes in 4 college seasons. He lacks experience and success shooting off movement, and he has a bit of a slow release. But the flashes are impressive. He made 52.3% of mid-range pull-ups this season per synergy. And strength needs to get stronger to improve his defensive floor. As it is, he'll get overpowered by some heavier elite athletes in the league. So all fair, very fair points there. He is still a little kind of gangly and skinny in his frame, but he does have a 6'10" wingspan, which is really appealing to me. That hints at some significant defensive potential, and he's a guy that competes on that end of the floor. While he's known for his offense, and I think at the end of the day, he will ultimately be a bit of a get-a-bucket type guy, this might be their second chance at like an Isaiah Joe style of player. Now, Isaiah Joe turned into a ridiculous sniper, one of the best shooters in the NBA as a whole. I don't know if Hunter Sallis quite gets to that level, but I do see a bit more from the creation ability. Defensively, I think you can make a case. We just saw Isaiah Joe, while he has a championship ring on his finger, ultimately got cut from that rotation when push came to shove in that NBA Finals, and that he was not quite capable of holding up the defensive side of the floor. I have a bit more optimism that Hunter Sallis can, even if the shooting does not quite get to that level here. So for Daryl Morey in particular, these are the type of swings that I want him to take. This is not a capped ceiling in the way that a guy like Johni Broome is, that we kind of know who he is as a player. And I hope Johni Broome proves me wrong. Went and watched some highlights while I was waiting for the rest of this draft to come through. And there was some stuff that popped a little bit more than I remembered there. The playmaking, a little bit better than I remembered maybe there. The athleticism, a little bit better that you can see it in flashes, but highlights can make just about everyone look good. And I will trust a little bit of my judgment for the full games here. And the last note that I did want to pull up on Hunter Sallis here comes out from the prophet of college basketball, John Fanta himself right here, who says, there are 2 guys who will get drafted tonight that I think could prove to be sleepers on this board, but have the makeup to fulfill some sort of role at the next level. Georgetown's Micah Peavy and Wake Forest Hunter Sallis. Talked about both with Kevin O'Connor as well. Now, of course, Hunter Sallis not hearing his name come off the board, but is hearing his name called in Philadelphia and will be for years to come, as this is the location that he has landed. So shout out to Daryl Morey, who continues to work the margins and have success in these type of areas, attacking the undrafted free agent market once again. And Hunter Sallis, welcome to Philadelphia. So this is the type of swing I'm excited about. This is now him and Alex Reese on 2-way contracts at this point. So there is still one remaining slot there. That is something to keep in mind. It would not shock me if we hear some more news relatively in the short term. Didn't want to wait. I gave it a couple minutes here, but wanted to hop on and record and drop this right away. So if there is another video coming out, if there's another move made, we'll be back on the clock and ripping that out probably tomorrow or whenever news breaks here. But for the time being, that is the last news that we have from a roster standpoint. We're beginning to see the picture of what the Sixers team would be. Free agency right on the horizon. Still a lot to get into with the Sixers, and I do think that there is good reason to be a bit more optimistic than there were a couple weeks ago. So shout out to VJ Edgecombe, shout out to Johni Broome, shout out to Hunter Sallis, welcome to Philadelphia, and shout out to you guys for tuning into this video here. So appreciate you guys as always. Drop your thoughts on Hunter Sallis below, any comments that you have on him as a player, any thoughts, questions that you have. Again, this is a guy that I would describe his game as it is going to come down to whether or not that three-point shot shoots, but he just knows how to compete. He knows how to play basketball, do the connective passing, be in the right spot, all those kind of things. I do think he checks a lot of the boxes there. So Hunter Sallis, come on down. Appreciate you guys for tuning into this video here. Make sure you're dropping a like on it if you have not already. Hit that subscribe button if you have not just yet. I'll be back talking with you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.